We are always an outcome of choices that we make in our lives. I am delighted to be at Crossroads here, the theme that Crossroads we have defined for today. And I'm going to narrate 3 instances of my life which changed me. Rather, I would say it helped me become who I am today. The first instance is pretty much what I'm asked always. How did I land up in the Defense Forces? So let me take you all back to 1996 when I was a student in Allahabad. And my father being an engineer, and we come from a very small city called Gorakhpur, he always wanted me to be an engineer. I took a decision. I was like, no, I have seen you enough, Papa, and I don't want to be the way you are. And at that age, I thought that I will become a doctor. The struggle started. I was going to a coaching center, and one fine day, my cousin who was doing his PG from KGMU, it's a very famous post-graduation institute in India, King George's Medical College in Lucknow. I was supposed to go and take some guidance from him. I went to him and I knocked his door. I was pretty much your age, and the door did not open for 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, Akhilesh Bhaiya's life is interesting. But to my surprise, after 5 minutes, when he opened the door, I asked him, what took you 5 minutes? And he narrated a very simple logic. He said, if you haven't managed, if you haven't inherited medical practices in your family or a lawyer's practicing in your family, this is not a profession that you should go in, because it will at least take you 10 years to establish yourself. Let's go back to 1996, 1997 kind of a scenario when medical profession and the law, so to say, these professions were not so corporatized. People had to individually make a name for themselves to be able to be famous and to be able to run their livelihood. The first lesson that I would want to give you all here is, on that day, it was absolutely clear to me what is it that I do not want to do in my life. So it's always important in life. It's always good to be focused on things that you want to do in life. But when you know what you do not want to do in life, it clears your vision. It takes away all the doubts that may arise in the process of you wanting to achieve what you are destined to achieve. With this was the first instance. Let's go to instance number 2. I served a very fulfilling high altitude counterinsurgency inclusive tenure with the Defense Forces. I completed my 5 years with Defense, a very fulfilling tenure. And then I moved on to the corporate sector. And before I entered the corporate sector, I always wanted to make sure that I get into a very good job. And to do that, I chose to do an MBA from Narsi Monji, Mumbai. Like any BA school, towards the end of the course, we created a brochure. We sent out the list of all the probable students to different companies. And Tata's was supposed to be the best company that was coming to us for campus interview. Since I went to my MBA after my defense tenure, that also suggests that I must have been about 27, 28. And I had kids. My wife and kids were in Banaras. And all of a sudden, both my kids, I have twins, they fell sick. I went home to see them. While I was there, I got a call that Tatas have preponed their campus interview, and that they did that because they wanted not to lose any of the good candidates that we had in the batch. Now, the course coordinator could not include my name because I was physically not present there. I had to spend almost 2 months' salary. My salary was 18,665 rupees as a captain when I came out of the Defense Forces in 2006. I had to almost spend 2 months' salary to reach Mumbai the same day. The next day was the interview. The next day morning, without having my name in the list, I reached out to Tata's. I reached out to the HR manager, who guided me to the Vice President HR, where I had to go and convey everything that happened with me and why my name was not there in the list. That took me good 20 minutes to convince that please add my name to the list. There were 25 people before. Mine was the 26th name. When you put that in alphabetical order, the first 13 names were starting from A, B, or C. The 14th name started with D. That was my name, Dharmveer. There were 2 interview panels who were interviewing all the students. Batch 1, 1 to 13 was supposed to go to room A. Batch 2, 13 to 26, 14 to 26 was supposed to go to room number 2. That means all the interviews started together. One person from batch 1 and one person from batch 2 simultaneously went into 2 meeting rooms for their interviews. When I opened that door, that board of interviewers was headed by the VP HR, whom I had met before this process of interview and had explained myself for 15 minutes. The moment I opened the door, she says, there is nothing for us to interview this guy. I think he has explained himself enough. Let's decide which stream he wants to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, it took me 5 minutes to crack, rather to get into Tata Interactive Systems back then in 2007, which was supposed to be the dream job for us. The lesson that I learned that day and what I would want to pass on to each one of you is, very often in our life, it appears that things are out of our hands and we can't really do much about it. Give your 100%. No one knows what destiny has for you. When you give your 100%, there is one thing that is absolutely easy for you. In life, very often we want to move on, whether it is relationship, whether it is academics, whether it is professional dilemma. But when you want to move on, what makes it easy for you to move on is when you have given your 100%. When you've given your 100%, never ever in your life you would regret that you did not try for it. But if you do not give your 100%, this regret will always and always be there in your head that I wish I gave my 100%. So this was instance number 2. Now, let's get on to the instance number 3, which is very, very interesting. And I think which changed me completely in my life. And it is surprising for all of you. And of course, even for me, because I thought life is done. I'm settled. I completed 5 years of army tenure. I am now an MBA from Narsi Monji. I am now working for a company like Tata's. But no, I think life had more surprises for me. And this is 2008 month of April. And all of a sudden I get a call on my desk and someone tells me that we want to audition you. I was like, who are you and why would you want to audition me? And the gentleman explained that they want to launch a new TV channel. And he also suggested that I am on the page number so-and-so of the placement brochure that we created. I was sure that yes, it's me. No one in those days was camera savvy, because we used to click ourselves in that 36 picture camera roll of Kodak or Konica, and how good or bad we are looking in those pictures was only revealed when those pictures were kind of done. So, but I always wanted to go for an interview or an audition kind of a thing. How does it feel to be in front of the camera? I went there, and the gentleman who was supposed to take my audition, he took me upstairs and he gave me a piece of paper. And he asked me to go home and practice the answer of those questions in front of a mirror, you know, because the mirror was supposed to be my camera and I was supposed to practice the answers. My worry was that I couldn't have lied to my boss the next day again that I'm going somewhere. So I told him, listen, gentlemen, I don't think there is anything that I need to practice in front of a mirror. I think I'm pretty ready. And I was to answer all those questions in Hindi by virtue of having spent my first 16 years of elementary education in Hindi medium schools. So when I say Hindi medium schools, the only subject that I read in English was English subject itself. Rest, everything was Hindi. Then 11th and 12th from Allahabad. I think that added or rather made my Hindi better. And I had nothing to lose. I was not aspiring to be into TV industry or something of that sort. I had a good job to myself. They asked those 10 questions, and I answered those 10 questions as if it's nothing. We came down, and that gentleman came to me and he said in Hindi, "Sir, jitna paisa mangna hoga mang, aap zarur jaoge." It means whatever money you want to ask for this show, please ask, and you would for sure go. So this show was Khatron Ke Khiladi, was to be hosted by Akshay Kumar. I did not trust him because I thought he is like that HR executive who always and every time tells every candidate that you were good and we will get back to you. You never are rude to a candidate. You never tell them that you really did bad and go from here. I came back 1 month down the line. I received a packet, that yellow envelope, and it had my contract, which had a very, very healthy signing amount. Let me reveal, it was 8 lakh rupees back then in 2008. Imagine somebody whose annual package in the defense forces was not even 2 lakh rupees is now going to sign a contract worth 8 lakh rupees for 15, 16 days. And there was also a space to fill in my daily remuneration, because the format of the show was such that every day one pair was coming out of the show. Now I go there with keeping my monthly salary in my head. I thought I will ask for 5,000 rupees per day. I have no idea when I met those people there, all the other selected TV celebrities there. At the time of filling the form, I filled 50,000 rupees. Believe you me, less than 3 seconds, the guy signed it and he turned the paper to me. And I was like, did I quoted less than what I should have? Anyways, to cut the long story short, the last lesson that I am trying to give you here is, never ever in your life anybody will offer you more than what you deserve. But if you yourself underestimate yourself, if you yourself do not price yourself rightly, trust you me, never ever in your life you will get what you really deserve. I hope I am absolutely clear. Thank you so much for having me here on this platform. I have a lot of other instances that I could have shared with you all, but for today, these 3 are what I wanted to share with you all. I hope we have a great day ahead of us. I would be part of this day. Thank you.